the Keith Lee effect is once he got so many followers, I think like 18 million, something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when Keith Lee go to your spot, and if he say your spot is hot,
You better
your
have
money
staff.
just went up. Do you
Up, up.
understand?
Tastemakers.
Class. We do more than make a living, we make a life. When everything is dark, we are the light. We are the tastemakers, alright. Let tomorrow tell the stories that we make tonight. We do more than make a living.
This is going to be quite an interesting one here. I'll go ahead and let Key introduce it. Then we'll drop the video. Or Key, do you want to go to the video? Then you introduce.
I'm gonna introduce it. So check this out. We're gonna talk about Keith Lee. He rolled through Atlanta like a Tasmanian devil on these restaurants. You understand me? And these Negroes were shook to death. He's been here. He was here for probably about a week, just trying out different. I mean, that's his job. He tries out restaurants. People send him in restaurant information. He goes there. He tries it out. He rates the food, and then next thing you know, these people go from struggling to six figures, and they got to hire a whole new staff. However, he came to the city of lackadaisical customer service, and here is the result, Brina.
This week has been insane. This is a recap of everything that's happened this week, the good and the not so good. Let's talk about it. Let's just address the elephant in the room. These two videos were posted yesterday.
Make sure if they get food, we'll sit down.
Long story short, me and my family tried to go to Old Lady Gang, and that situation just wasn't for me. And I want to be very clear. Usually when celebrities come in, they want to be treated like that. I'm not a celebrity. I'm a normal person. So I get the employee was just trying to do her job. I'm just not the target audience for that kind of treatment. So we went to another place. We went to the Toast on Linux timeline. We went to Old Lady Gang. I shot the video. We left and went to Toast on Linux. Toast on Linux is where those two videos were taken. I had no intention of shooting the video. We just went to eat food. We walked up. It was a 2.5 hour wait time. But the people that were waiting were dressed to the nines, head to toe. On Sunday in Atlanta, people go to brunch, so they expect to wait. We didn't know that. While I was there, me and my wife took a picture with a lady who does food reviews. She has nothing to do with the situation other than the fact that we took a picture together while she was eating. They said it was a 2.5 hour wait time. We said, okay, we're gonna go somewhere else. While we walked out, the entire staff walked out behind us. They attempted to implore us to stay and said that we could sit down immediately. Again, I'm not the target audience for that. Usually I would just leave, but before we left, we saw 2 cars with 2 people in each car. So they were separate. It was 2 girls in one car over here. It was 2 girls in one car over here. One car had been waiting for an hour and a half. The other car had been waiting for an hour. One car was trying to do takeout. One car was trying to sit down. So again, the people that were waiting inside that were dressed to the nines, they didn't mind waiting. But the people that were sitting in these cars, I didn't like that. So the owner and the manager walked out and they offered us a table for us to be able to sit down. We told them as a family that we would do takeout, but we wouldn't eat in the restaurant. And the only way we would do takeout is if they gave the table that they was gonna get to us to the 2 girls that was sitting in this car, which they did. And on top of that, they had to make sure the girls that was sitting in this car got takeout before we did, which again, they did. The staff and the owner were extremely accommodating. They were nice, they were accommodating, they were professional. And again, that's just my experience. When we got the food, we all enjoyed it. Personally, the food was good to me, but again, I wasn't recording anything. I was just eating. We paid for our food and I tipped the waitress $500. I wasn't gonna say nothing about it because again, I was just eating food. But these videos came out and I just wanted to make sure we clear that up. The lady we met inside the restaurant had nothing to do with anything. She was just eating food. And I wasn't arguing with nobody. I don't argue. I even said in the video that they recorded. I'm just Keith. Social media aside, I'm a normal person.
Social media beside, I'm just Keith.
Cardi B went live last night and she said this about our situation.
Talking about this guy called Keith. He does restaurant review. And I'm like, who is that? Who is that? I know that being a restaurant owner is a lot of hard work. And so many people have invested money in their restaurants. People, you know, like this is their everything. But I always find this. Eating in Atlanta, it is such an event. You could barely order in Atlanta restaurants. Like you go like, hey, I would like to make order. Oh yeah, we don't take orders. They don't do no pickup orders. They don't do deliveries.
God is amazing. Shout out to Cardi B. The Real Milk and Honey is one of the restaurants that me and my family went to. The Real Milk and Honey and Milk and Honey are 2 different restaurants. The Real Milk and Honey is a restaurant we went to. Milk and Honey is a restaurant we did not attend. I already was very clear and transparent, asking y'all not to leave hate anywhere. But specifically, don't leave hate to the Milk and Honey. They didn't do anything. Update, I just received a notice from the owner of the Milk and Honey. The place that we did not go to, them and their employees been receiving death threats. I'm absolutely 100% not with that. That's so corny and so lame, regardless of my opinion on any restaurant, even if it's the Real Milk and Honey. We don't do that over here at all. If you do that, you are not somebody that watch me and not somebody that support what me and my family are on. God bless you. And I mean, under any circumstances, that's not okay in my eyes. But again, if y'all would listen to me, don't leave hate nowhere. If you would like to have your own personal experience on any of these restaurants, I encourage you to go. But now to the most important thing. These are all the amazing things we're able to do while we're in Atlanta.
I've been through so much to open this restaurant. Didn't even know I was gonna be able to open it. And you know tonight who walked through my door? Keith Lee.
It is 8:40 at night, and this is the line.
Everything I've been wanting, manifesting for my life. Everything I've been wanting, manifesting.
Who would have thought Keith Lee would bring ATL out, bro? Like, God did this, Bird did this, Keith Lee did this, nigga, we did this.
Popular TikToker Keith Lee is sparking a lot of conversation about Atlanta's food scene.
Packed of Keith Lee. Look at these cars lined up, y'all. This area is always empty, but this is just one side. It is never packed, but this is the dining experience.
Oh, you got these people attention now? Talk that talk, George. You got these people attention now. Now they know it's not a game no more.
Shout out to every single person that we met while we were there. The hospitality from the locals in Atlanta, crazy. Something I'll never forget. This has been another stop on a Keith Lee and family food tour. God bless you. Have an amazing day. Y'all be safe.
All right, so for those who don't know anything about Keith Lee, of course, as you can tell, they're a food reviewer. The Keith Lee effect is once he got so many followers, I think like 18 million, something like that.
Yeah.
And when Keith Lee go to your spot, and if he say your spot is hot,
You
your money just went up. Do you understand? Your money just went up. Like your no-name business is now it. You feel what I'm saying? And that's the Keith Lee effect. So I guess they really didn't get into some of the negative stuff, I guess, or how things were being perceived negatively in Atlanta that was hurting joints. But Key, if you want to speak to that real quick, and then we'll just talk about
real
that
quick. Let me hit up a few comments. So Keith doesn't only go to the I want to be seen spots. Keith hits up food trucks. He hits up crab spots. He hits up all kinds of spots. He took he pulled up one time to a food truck, and the food truck was about to close, and he asked him for a burger, and the dude made him a burger, and then Keith Lee did a review on the burger, and then that man woke up the next morning, and there were 400 people standing outside his food truck waiting for him to open, right? So he doesn't go to just the scene spots. He goes to wherever he's recommended. So when Keith pulled up in Atlanta, people sent him these restaurants and said, go to Juicy Jerk. That's who you saw, the girl Juicy Jerk. Now, shout out to Juicy Jerk. My brother Mellison actually told me about that. Anthony Mellison told me about Juicy Jerk about 2 days before I saw the Keith Lee review. So Keith Lee hadn't been to Juicy Jerk before Mellison told me. And so we was like, oh, bet we're going to go next week. Now that Keith Lee is there, I know I'm never going to get a rib from Juicy Jerk. So I'm not going because I know I'm never going to get anything from Juicy Jerk ever again in life, okay? And so, but he has changed lives. Now, the reason they sent him to Juicy Jerk is because that restaurant used to belong to her pops, and her pops passed away and left her the spot, and they were struggling hard, even though they're fantastic food. Before Keith Lee said anything, I heard that their food was off the chain. Now that Keith is there, it's a dub. Like, you're never going to be able to get a rib from there ever again, right? But so he went there, but it highlighted the Atlanta food scene. Now, for the Milk and Honey incident, there are 2 Milk and Honeys in Atlanta. There's the real Milk and Honey, which is further down in like South Atlanta, probably close to the airport. And then there's the Milk and Honey, which is like near not Fulton Industrial, well, kind of sort of like on the west side of Atlanta, right? The Milk and Honey on the west side of Atlanta does not have the same rules as the real Milk and Honey, which is why when I read it, I had to look real close because I've been to Milk and Honey on the west side, not the one that had all these rules up, because the Milk and Honey post was like, you can't have more than 4 people, more than 5 people get a gratuity, you got to spend 75. Like, it was all these stupid rules, but that's essentially Atlanta restaurant culture. All these ridiculous rules. We don't do takeout orders. We don't do walk-in orders. We don't have seating in here. You got to sit out in our vestibule. You got it's so much stuff. I barely go out to eat out here unless I'm going to like a pho place or a boba place or a Thai place. Like, I don't bang with like the soul food spots because it's so unnecessary, ridiculous. So Keith came through. He went to the Atlanta Breakfast Club. They did not get a good rating. He went to Juicy Jerk. He went to a few spots. He went to Old Lady Gang. Old Lady Gang asked him to pull up. He went to Old Lady Gang, and they didn't get the rating they thought they were going to get, because a lot of times I think people think because Keith Lee's a black man and they're a black establishment, he gonna cape for y'all. And he doesn't even, like, he has texture issues. So if he like your food, he has overcome the texture issue to rate your food. Baby, when I tell you people was programming, people was calling other restaurants and saying, what's his number? And then programming his number in their joint as do not answer. Because if he called there, they was not going to take his order because they didn't want the review because they know that they trash. They know that they trash. A lot of these fancy brunch spots that people love to go to on Sundays, or a lot of these fancy spots are trash. I've been to several restaurants who are really, really dope. Like there's a spot not too far from my house called I can't remember. It's a dope spot. It's a grass wall spot, if you will. But it's a West Indian run spot. They have like a Caribbean food fusion joint. It's popping. I didn't go there and have to wait 2 hours and have all this extra stuff. It was a great experience. But a lot of these places be basura. And so Keith Lee just exposed that, which is why everybody is like, Keith Lee is ruining Atlanta restaurant culture. It's like, nah, y'all's customer service sucked. And Keith Lee just highlighted it. Y'all's customer service is I mean, when I say customer service be trash out here, it be trash. You go into a Jamaican restaurant, you be like, let me get some oxtails. We ain't got no oxtail, but it's on your menu as a special for the day. Yeah, but we don't got no oxtail. So why don't you take it off the menu? Can I get some gravy? We don't got extra gravy, but I'm looking at 3 oxtails swimming in a bowl of gravy. Can I just get some more gravy on my rice? Like, it be so trash. 9 times out of 10, I just cook at home because I don't be wanting to be bothered.
So yeah, and then there's a certain level, and you heard a little bit of this in the video, favoritism, right? So Keith ain't one of them cats where if he pull up to the spot and you got all these rules and you stopping all these other people, like he was sending his family members in, and his family members were getting stopped at the door. But when they find out it's Keith Lee's family, or when Keith show his face, now all of a sudden it's all full open access, and he won't really trying to rock with that either. So it was a lot of wild stuff and customer service issues and yada yada yada. And then some places got blessed because they came correct or whatever the case may be as well. But of course, Key is our resident AT alien. So
I'm a New Yorker living in Atlanta. Don't do that. Milk and Honey.
Key is how long you been in Atlanta?
10 years. I'm 40
Key
years
is our
old.
resident AT alien. Let me stop.
Milk and Honey and the real Milk and Honey, though, are 2 different spots. So for the people who are sending death threats to Milk and Honey, like, chill out. Cool out. Y'all gotta chill.
Sending death threats in general.
That's too much.
Just some utterly non-stop.
Milk and Honey and the real Milk and Honey are 2 different restaurants. The real Milk and Honey is down, I think, near closer to the airport. Like, Milk and Honey is like right around the way, and that spot is popping. I've been to Milk and Honey after church, and we rolled in there like 15 deep. They made, and it's a little hole in the wall, but it was good food. They made, well, it's actually, I don't know if it's even there anymore. They made room for us. They made sure that we ate. It was fantastic food. So they're not the same thing, and I think people was confusing the two, which is why. Or maybe they're not closed down. Maybe my Milk and Honey was getting death threats when it's really the real Milk and Honey that was OD tripping.
So, do we see Keith Lee as being problematic? Are these restaurants problematic? Is this exposure? I mean, what are we seeing here? Like, is anybody have any issues? Any nothing like that? I mean, all kinds of joints came out. There's a lot of nonsense happening online concerning.
I don't see him as problematic.
Say again?
What happened?
Why would Keith Lee be seen as problematic? He's just doing his job. You know what I'm saying? And
these restaurants get these bad ratings or whatever case may be. They might see him as being common. So then, of course,
that's on them though. They gotta do better.
Mm-hmm.
They gotta do better.
They gotta do better. I went to when I was down there visiting Trish and what's the other girl's name? I forgot her name. But I was down there visiting them. We went to Pascal's, which is amazing.
What, London or who?
London, yes.
Okay.
But when I was, we went to Pascal's for after my album release party, and Pascal's was fire. Like I'm going back there. We went to the one by the Mercedes-Benz Dome. That joint was super dope. He should have went there to go try this food. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of the same effect that Darius Crooks had when he was here in Richmond.
Yeah. And Cooks a little extra though. He rude. Darius Cooks is rude, man.
He did the same thing in Richmond that Keith Lee did in Atlanta. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody was fawning over him, asking him to come to their restaurants, and he basically went to all the spots that we already knew were good: Croker Spot, Mama J's. You know what I'm saying? And those joints. But he did put on some new spots too. But I don't think the effect is as big that Keith Lee has. that
Yeah,
that
keep on
Darius
it,
has.
bro. Yeah.
But nah, yeah. You listen, if your stuff is trash, you're gonna get exposed. Keith Lee's just out here doing his job. You understand me?
It be usually customer service. Customer service for me is will always be like, oh, this is garbage. Like this is
So what about
horrible.
even
Like,
at the chain
it's
joints in Atlanta? It'd be the same thing. Bad customer service.
One day I was in a car with a friend of mine and we went to go get a juice from Jamba Juice, which is right up the block from my house. And we pulled up, they closed at like 7. So we pulled up at like 6:52. She was like, can y'all hurry up and order? Cause I'm finna close this register. I was like, yo, who she talking to, bro? Yo, who she talking to, bro? We pulled around. She was like, we were like, can we just we pulled around. She was like, okay. And so we took the order. She was like, she was like huffing and puffing. She snatched his credit card. My homeboy was like, hey, yo. I need a refund and I need a printout of my receipt to make sure you refunded me. She's like, I can't give you a printout of the receipt, but I can make a copy of it. He's like, yo, you gotta register. He ends up getting into an argument with this chick. Like, Atlanta customer service is basura. Do you understand me? Like, even in the chain joints, it's like, if you don't want to work, man, just say you want to be a scammer. Like, just say that, but stop getting regular jobs.
So that's Atlanta. I lived in Kentucky for a little bit. Kentucky didn't have good service to me as well. Goss, what do you feel about Virginia customer service?
Yeah, it's fine to me.
Yeah, I think our customer service is be on point for the most part. Indiana, how y'all look up there, Bree?
Customer service is pretty good here.
Okay.
Haven't had any issues.
Okay, so Kentucky, I didn't feel like had a good customer service, and it was a bunch of white folk. Virginia has a mixed joint, but I've always felt like customer service for the most part. I mean, everybody can have a bad, experience anywhere, or catch somebody on their off day. But for the most part, we do good with customer service here. Of course, I say Virginia as a whole state, Kentucky as a whole state. I'm talking Louisville, Kentucky. I'm talking Virginia. I'm talking Hampton Roads. I think Ross is talking Richmond, and then you're talking Indianapolis. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
So going back to ATL. And Regis said this, and I just want to talk about it. Regis said, I think black businesses have a huge issue with taking constructive criticism, and that's only going to make you better. Is that true or not? Do you guys think?
Yeah, absolutely. Because like I've been to places, like I've been to Asian inspired places where they do like hand rolled noodles, and there's a lady back there making the noodles by hand, and she's smiling at me while she rolled them noodles. And I know she done rolled about 50 pounds of noodles. I wouldn't be smiling after 50 pounds of noodles. But it's like artisan food. It's like really good food. So it depends. I won't broad stroke and say all Atlanta customer service is trash. I'd say certain restaurants, like a lot of the chain joints, unfortunately, a lot of black owned businesses don't be pulling up. Like they don't pull up or show up the way that they should for our people, unless it's somebody that could affect their bottom line. They don't do right all the time.
How do we feel about not black customer service? Because I've had plenty of great black waiters and waitresses in regular restaurants, but particularly at black-owned businesses, do we often experience the same thing? Yay or nay?
Yeah, not all black businesses, but
of course, none of this is 100%. We're not talking.
Have left a mark on me regarding. I'm a big customer service person. Before I started doing what I'm doing now, I was in customer service for most of my adult life. I operated in some level of customer service capacity, right? Whether it was and it was always in some sort of managerial position. I always ended up working my way into a managerial customer service position because I know how to provide a customer service experience. When I came to Atlanta, I was like, ain't this Atlanta Southern Hospitality? What is wrong with y'all? Like, at a minimum, I at least expect hospitality. Y'all are wild out here. You know what I mean? And so Charles is wild in these comments. Takeout is not Atlanta. Customer service is not Atlanta. Quick feeding is not Atlanta. But it's so true. It's like,
what's this thing with the takeout? Why is takeout such a big thing? Such a non-thing or non-starter in ATL?
I have no idea.
So I heard Candy say that her restaurant has issue with takeout sometimes. I mean, I guess this maybe applies to a lot of restaurants. The kitchen wants to take care of the people who are in the restaurant and that whole experience. Mm-hmm. And when there's a great deal of takeout orders, it slows things up for those people in the restaurant. So therefore, they don't do takeout orders.
Well, that's just a half a hint at your system. That's just a half a hint that you don't have a system. When I've worked in restaurant establishments, I've been in managerial positions in restaurant establishments several times in my life. And what happens is we have people who take care of the takeout orders and we have people who take care of the people in-house. You need two separate systems. If you're running all that through one system, then you're going to get backed up. Why are you running that through one system? If you have
it goes back to staffing.
Yes. If you have a substantial takeout clientele, you need a separate sous chef for takeout. You need a separate assistant chef for takeout. Like, you need a separate system that serves the takeout people than the system that serves the dine-in people. But that should be a half a hint that y'all not doing this right, or y'all don't follow like.
So here's the other aspect we know, of course, in the world of America, when white folk get a cold, black folk get pneumonia, right? So we know that after COVID, there was a full-on epidemic of restaurants not being properly staffed, not being able to keep good workers, and whatever the case may be. And we saw that in mainstream restaurants. So we know that has to hit Black-owned businesses probably doubly, if not triply hard, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. A lot of places went under and never came back, but that's worldwide. A lot of places in New York. I mean, in New York, I'm from New York. You don't always get the best customer service in New York, but you do get fast service in New York. You don't get all these extra ridiculous rules in New York. You walk in, you ask for what you want to. Poppy gonna look you in your face. He's gonna talk to you loud. He might yell at you because you're not speaking up, but you're gonna get your food in 3 minutes, right? And so you're willing to sacrifice the customer service for the speed of service. But at Atlanta, it's bad customer service and your food take an hour. This pick a struggle. Like, you can't suck at giving me an experience and this food take 45 minutes.
And the food take out. Not the food, and then the third thing is the food good?
And then if it's cold, good. Like,
oh, okay, yeah,
like,
then that's
wild.
bad too.
Come on, man.
Because we'll take some L's for good food.
We will take some L's for good food.
Yeah. So anyway, that is what it is. I think that's all we got. If the chat says the same, but definitely appreciate you guys hanging with us here on the Tastemakers Pod again.
Tastemakers.
Class. We do more than make a living, we make a life. When everything is dark, we are the light. We are the Tastemakers. Aight. Let tomorrow tell the stories that we make tonight. We do more than make a living, we make